The obligation to await Mashiach is termed in Halacha by the Rambam and the Animamin that many people say that Achakale b'chol yom she'yaveh, a wait is coming every day. The word machaka has two very distinct and even opposite implications. Achaka could mean to yearn, to desire. Yearning and desiring for Mashiach means that one is supposed to feel the lack, feel that the world is incomplete, the world is not going to reach its proper way of existence until Mashiach will come. Obviously, such an understanding leads one to a feeling of even bitterness or disappointment that Mashiach is not here yet. On the other hand, awaiting Mashiach, the word mechaka, to wait Mashiach, also means to be hopeful, to be trusting, to be happy, knowing that Mashiach is coming. So both approaches are necessary. A person has to feel the lack. A person can't become complacent. A person can't make peace with the situation. But at the same time, a person shouldn't just be stuck by a feeling of bitterness. A person is supposed to feel happy, be joyful, know that Mashiach is coming. And you should know that every activity that he does brings Mashiach more and more into the world. And when a person has an invigoration of happiness, so as our sages teach us, happiness breaks all boundaries and makes Mashiach come quicker. So in general, there are two approaches. We could focus on disappointment, on yearning, or we could focus on being happy, on hope and trust and happiness when Mashiach will come. Each one on its own helps to bring Mashiach. When a person feels the lack of Mashiach, and he feels disappointed, obviously proper disappointment shouldn't lead a person to become hopeless and to just give up, but it will lead a person to do something about it. That's the way it should be. A person should feel he has to do even more to bring Mashiach. On the other hand, the feeling of joy and happiness and trust, that itself also hastens the redemption. Trust, bitachon, we all know that the verse says that when somebody trusts in Hashem, Hashem helps him. By trusting that Hashem will send Mashiach, that itself hastens the coming of Mashiach. By being joyful with the coming of Mashiach, that itself breaks the boundaries of exile and causes Mashiach to come quicker. But more particularly, we could explain that there's a fundamental difference between the two. Somebody that is yearning, somebody that realizes that the world is not the way it should be and he's yearning for the final redemption, such a person feels in a certain sense distant from the redemption. Obviously, he's focusing on the redemption, he's yearning for it, and the person yearns, that's where he is. But at the same time, the feeling of yearning in of itself means that I am distant from it and I'm yearning for it. When somebody is happy, when somebody is hopeful with something, so then he's identifying with that. If he's able to feel it and he's able to identify it with the extent that it invigorates him with hope, with happiness, this means that this idea became internalized within him, became one with him. It's carrying through his difficulties. It's giving him the strength to overcome the struggles. The Rebbe explains that as we get closer to Mashiach, our happiness, our connection, our living with Mashiach should take precedence over our feeling of yearning. Generations before, when we were further away from Mashiach, what was felt more was the distance from where the world was supposed to be. So the yearning for Mashiach was felt much more. As we're getting closer to Mashiach, what should be felt more is not so much our yearning and how bad exile is, but more how we are holding by the threshold of redemption, and we should be happy and joyful and hopeful and increase our efforts in a happy way to make it happen. And this happiness, this is because the closer we got to the redemption, we could already live, so to say. We could already bring in the light of the redemption one. Something is at the door and you're hearing the footsteps of Mashiach, so you're already able to become one. The world is already at the level where we could identify, even if we don't see the full revelation of Mashiach, at least within our lives, within our own personal interaction with other people, with our own personal service of Hashem, we can live with hope. We're already at the point where we can bring Mashiach into our lives, and therefore, instead of yearning for it, we should live with it. We should be hopeful. We should be happy. We should break the boundaries of exile in a happy way. Identify with Mashiach. Know that it's real. Make it real, and that itself will make it to become real for the whole world. May it happen. Take it from me, Admam, speedily in our days. Amen.